Alright, so the battle pass was pretty good. You know, it's a new act, new me. Let's see what these patch notes are about. You know, we got some chamber voice lines. Okay, chamber buff. Looking good. We have what is this? Cipher nerfs. Okay. Probably justified. You know, the trap's pretty OP. I don't really like the this audio change, but it's okay. Let's see what they did to oh my god. What did they do to my girl? They finally did it, okay. First it was Chamber, then it was Jet, and now it's finally Viper. Look, I know Viper definitely needed a nerf. I mean, just look at her pro pick rates, but this honestly seems personal at this point. The max uptime on each smoke reduction is pretty reasonable, I'd say. I mean, it's not the end of the world. The same thing with the new minimum fuel threshold. Like these are reasonable changes. It's when you keep going, you start to see the problem. Poison Cloud can only be picked up during the buy phase. I mean, this is huge. Surely Riot has some sort of justification for this. Let's see. Okay, Poison Cloud only being retrievable in the buy phase pushes you to make sharper calls of where you'll place the ability each round and sharpens her identity of high influence in a highly committed area. You know, that kind of makes sense. I guess they're trying to make her a more centered around defending one area. I mean, that's not too bad. I guess that fits with her whole Sentinel controller playstyle. Sure. But what's that? There's more changes? Surely not, right? Snakebite charges reduced from 2 to 1. Price increased to 300 for one molly. That can't be right. But they are being serious. Right's justification for this is, get this, it increases the importance of fuel management. Yeah, I don't really buy that either. I mean, Riot literally says above that they want Viper to be more committed to a position, but then nerf the part of her kit that makes her able to stall heavy pushes. Oh, and you can completely forget about side XX. Trying to molly U-Haul when pushing A on like bind, for example, well, now you don't have a molly for the rest of the round. All the time you spent learning post-plant lineups, those are gone, into the void. I would understand if they wanted to lean into like a certain playstyle, as Viper was one of the most versatile agents in Valorant, but instead of like brainstorming to come up with a good solution, they'd rather just send her to work at McDonald's alongside Chamber at this point. Oh, and 300 creds for a singular molly is highway robbery at its finest. You cannot make this up. Okay, so why would Riot do this? Well, it's mainly pro play. We all know that Riot loves balancing around professional play. I mean, if you look at the pick rates, it's pretty self-explanatory on how broken Viper was. I mean, an 82% pick rate in America is pretty much rivaling prime chamber numbers. But the part that bothers me is that this doesn't reflect the game for 98%, the rest of the player base, just regular people. They successfully destroyed a character for the vast majority of the game's player base for the sake of reducing her pick rates in just pro teams. This doesn't even make sense, as you still have unaddressed issues in pro play. Like Ascent, for example, has had a team composition that is so common, so basic, that it is literally called the default comp, and it's been that way for as long as I can remember, since I started playing. Omen and Raze right now in Americas also dominate with extremely high pick rates, and they're left untouched. And to be honest, this is more of an issue about maps than anything else, as certain maps require certain agents to be played. Like Viper, like old Viper I guess, on Breeze and Icebox, Raze on Split and Bind, Omen on Sunset, and Ascent. I mean, you can do this for like 2 or even 3 agents at sometimes for pretty much almost every map in this game. Like, how about instead of nerfing a character that is required to not lose on a certain map, buff the alternatives? I understand power creep's a concern that Riot, to its credit, is trying to prevent and has done a decent job, I'd say, of preventing it. However, a character like Harbor, for example, who's meant to be that alternative wall smoke controller to Viper, is already in a terrible state, and buffing him I don't think would negatively impact the game at all. In fact, the only place where he's consistently picked at all is VCT, which is probably why he won't be getting buffed anytime soon, even though his ranked play is abysmal. I do think they'll probably do the thing where they overly nerf her now, only to gradually buff her later as time goes on, but honestly, if I had to guess, it'll probably be at least a year before we see any meaningful change. If I were them, I'd revert the change about the molly. I'd add back the second molly. You could perhaps reduce the time of each molly to maybe like 4 seconds or something. I think that'd be pretty reasonable, but losing 2 mollies I think is just too important to the character. Also, I would add like a small period of time after throwing the orb where you can pick it back up in case you missed it. Because if you've ever played the character, you know that the orb absolutely loves like bouncing off of random hitboxes you can't even see. And to be honest, this isn't even the root of the issue. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, nerfs are inevitable in competitive games. I mean, nerfs happen, balance changes happen, especially to strong characters like Viper, but the real issue is that this is just another piece of evidence, another example to throw onto the pile of the fact that Riot honestly simply does not care about the vast majority of their player base when it comes to Valorant. Whether it's nerfing characters into the ground for the sake of balancing pro play, or releasing extremely overpriced bundles for a quick cash grab, refusing to even acknowledge the community's desire for a replay system, whether it's ignoring the smurfs that run rampant and terrorize lower elo, or fixing the almost universally hated map rotation, the list goes on, okay? And honestly, I give up, okay? The only thing I can count on Riot Games for at this point is posting completely tone-deaf YouTube community posts. And there probably goes my chance at getting a Riot buddy. Have a wonderful rest of your day.